Daeho Kim walked through the long halls of Centauri Prime Station. His black shoes made soft sounds on the metal floor. Behind him walked two other humans. They all wore dark blue uniforms with small earth patches on their arms. The station was huge. It had taken 3 hours just to get from the docking bay to the main council chambers. Alien beings of all shapes and sizes moved through the corridors. Some walked on 2 legs like humans. Others floated in clear bubbles filled with strange gas. A few crawled along the walls with dozens of small legs. None of them looked at the humans, not directly. But Daeho could feel their eyes following him. He had been Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council for 5 years. He knew when aliens were watching him. "Ambassador Kim," said Captain Minji Park, walking beside him. She was a tall woman with short black hair and sharp eyes. "The Council seems nervous today." Daeho nodded. "They have reason to be nervous." Behind them, Dr. Yoonji Choi carried a small recording device. She was Earth's top expert on alien biology. Her job was to watch how the aliens acted during meetings. Every small movement, every change in their skin color or breathing, all of it told her what they were really thinking. 12 species, Yoonji said quietly. All of them older than us. All of them scared of what we might become. The council chamber doors opened in front of them. The room was enormous. It could hold 1,000 beings easily. 12 raised platforms formed a circle in the center. Each platform held the representatives of one alien species. Above them, a clear dome showed the stars outside. Daeho walked to the small platform in the center. It was much lower than the others. The humans had been given this spot when Earth first joined the council. It was meant to show that humans were junior members, less important than the others. Today, Daeho did not mind being looked down upon. Sometimes it was better to let others think they were above you. "The council recognizes Ambassador Kim of the human species," said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Daeho looked up at the platform directly in front of him. Chancellor Vorthak sat there. He was the leader of the hegemony, the oldest and most powerful species in the council. Vorthak looked like a giant lizard that had learned to stand on 2 legs. His skin was dark green with silver markings. His eyes were solid black. "Thank you, Chancellor," Daeho said. His voice was calm and polite. "We have brought you here today to discuss a serious matter," Vorthak continued. "The rapid expansion of human territory and technology has become a concern for this council." Daeho said nothing. He had expected this. "In the past 50 years, Vorthak said, humans have colonized 47 worlds. You have built a fleet of over 3,000 ships. Your technology advances faster than any species we have ever observed." Other alien voices joined in. The Aquatic Coalition representative spoke through a water-filled tube. "Human quantum drives are 30% faster than our best technology. Human weapons systems show innovation patterns that concern us," added the representative from the Synthetic Collective. It was a machine being made of silver metal and glowing lights. "Human agricultural methods have made barren worlds fertile in just a few years," said another voice. Daeho listened to all of this. He kept his face neutral. Inside, he was counting how many species were speaking against humanity, counting how many stayed silent. The numbers told him everything he needed to know. "The council has decided," Vorthak said, "that humanity must accept guidance in its development." "Guidance," Daeho repeated. "Yes, you will limit your expansion to no more than 5 new worlds per decade. You will share all technological advances with this council before implementing them. You will reduce your fleet size by 60%. You will accept council oversight on all future development projects." The chamber was very quiet. Daeho could hear his own heartbeat. "And if humanity chooses not to accept this guidance?" he asked. "Then, humanity will be considered a threat to galactic peace," Vorthak said. "And threats must be contained." Daeho nodded slowly. He looked around the chamber. Most of the alien representatives were staring at him, waiting for his response. He could see fear in their strange eyes. Fear and anger and something else. Desperation. Through his earpiece, he heard Captain Park's voice. She was back on the human flagship, watching through quantum link. Admiral Lee confirms all ships are ready, Ambassador. Dr. Choi's analysis? Taeho asked quietly. Stress indicators off the charts for all 12 species, came Yunji's voice. They're more afraid of us than they're letting on. Taeho smiled. It was a small, polite smile, the kind diplomats learned to use when they wanted to hide their real thoughts. The United Earth government will consider your proposal, he said. Several aliens shifted on their platforms. The hegemony representatives exchanged glances. They had expected anger or defiance. They had prepared for arguments and negotiations. They had not expected calm acceptance. How long will this consideration take? Asked the representative from the crystal hierarchies. As long as it takes, Taeho replied. We expect an answer within one standard galactic month, Vorthak said. Of course. Taeho bowed slightly. It was a gesture of respect that most alien species understood. Then he turned and walked toward the chamber doors. Captain Park and Dr. Choi followed him. As they left the chamber, Taeho heard the aliens begin to talk among themselves. Their voices were excited, relieved. They thought they had won. They thought the humans would submit to their demands. They were wrong. In the corridor outside, Dr. Choi caught up to Taeho. Their body language suggests, they believe we'll comply, she said. Good, Taeho replied. Let them think that. Captain Park walked on his other side. The fleet captains are asking for orders, Ambassador. Tell them to prepare for Operation Walkaway, Taeho said quietly. They reached the docking bay where their HFY shuttle waited. It was a small ship, built for speed rather than comfort. As they climbed aboard, Taeho looked back at the massive space station. Centauri Prime was one of the wonders of the galaxy, a city in space that housed millions of beings from dozens of species. Soon, it would be the aliens' problem alone. The shuttle launched smoothly. As they moved away from the station, Taeho activated a secure communication channel to Earth. This is Ambassador Kim, he said. The Council has made their position clear. They demand complete submission or they will treat us as a threat. Understood, came the reply from Earth. It was Director Nam's voice. He was in charge of Earth's emergency protocols. Are you authorizing the contingency plan? Taeho looked out the shuttle window. The stars were beautiful out here. So many worlds, so many possibilities. The aliens thought this galaxy belonged to them. They thought they could control who lived where and how fast they could grow. Yes, Taeho said. Operation Walkaway is authorized. Begin implementation immediately. Copy that, Ambassador. Operation Walkaway is now active. As their shuttle jumped to quantum speed, Taeho closed his eyes. The aliens had made their choice. Now, humanity would make theirs. In 48 hours, the galaxy would wake up to find that everything had changed. The aliens just didn't know it yet. 3 months had passed since the meeting at Centauri Prime. The galaxy seemed normal. Trade ships moved between worlds. Diplomatic messages traveled through quantum networks. Alien governments went about their daily business. None of them noticed the small changes happening in human space. Director Hyun-woo Nam stood in the command center on Luna Base. Through the large windows, he could see Earth turning slowly below. The blue and green planet looked peaceful, but appearances could be deceiving. Status report, he said to the room full of technicians. Evacuation of Kepler 442b is 90% complete, said one technician. Last transport leaves in 6 hours. New Singapore colony? Nam asked. All civilians evacuated yesterday. Military forces pulling out now. Mars base? Engineer Yang's team is handling the final shutdown procedures. Nam nodded. He had been planning this operation for 2 years. Moving 12 billion humans from 47 worlds was not something you could do quickly. It took time, careful planning, and absolute secrecy. The aliens thought humans were still considering their ultimatum. They had no idea that every human settlement outside Earth's solar system was being systematically emptied. On Mars base, engineer Sumin Yang checked her instruments one last time. The red planet's main human settlement stretched out below her observation deck. Domed cities, manufacturing plants, mining operations, research facilities. 50 years of human work and dreams. In 6 hours, it would all be empty. Final transport is loaded, her assistant told her. We're the last ones. Suman touched a control panel. Across the entire base, lights began to dim. Not turning off completely, but reducing to minimal levels. To anyone watching from orbit, Mars base would look like it was going into sleep mode. They would not realize that sleep mode meant something very different to humans. Activate Protocol 7, Suman said. Across Mars base, special devices began to hum. They had been built into every human structure over the past 2 years. Small quantum processors that most people assumed were routine system upgrades. The aliens had never asked about them. The devices didn't destroy anything. They did something much more subtle. They reached into the quantum foundations of human technology and gently turned off the switches that made everything work. A fusion reactor would still look like a fusion reactor. All the parts would be there, all the connections would be intact, but the specific quantum resonance patterns that made fusion possible would simply stop working. To any alien scientist examining the equipment, it would be a complete mystery. Suman and her team boarded the last transport. As their ship lifted off from Mars, she watched the base through the rear window. From the outside, everything looked normal. The aliens would find a perfectly preserved human settlement. They just wouldn't be able to make any of it work. Meanwhile, in deep space, Captain Seohyun Kang was overseeing the most complex logistics operation in human history. Her ship, the Harmony, was one of 50 vessels coordinating the evacuation. They moved between human worlds like ghosts, picking up people and supplies. Transport Convoy Delta is clear of Tau Ceti, her communications officer reported. Convoy Gamma? Jumping out of the Vega system now. Kang looked at the main display screen. It showed the positions of every human ship and transport in the galaxy. Thousands of vessels, all moving according to a plan that had taken 2 years to perfect. The aliens were watching, of course. Their sensor networks tracked all major ship movements. But they saw exactly what humans wanted them to see. A normal pattern of trade and passenger traffic. Ships coming and going as they always had. They did not see the massive evacuation happening right under their noses. Any alien response? Kang asked. None detected, Captain. Their monitoring stations are reporting normal human activity. Kang smiled. The deception was working perfectly. Every human ship leaving a colony world was balanced by fake sensor readings, showing other ships arriving. The aliens' own technology was being used to hide humanity's exodus. On Earth, scientist Taehyun Jo sat in an underground facility near Seoul. His job was perhaps the most important of all. While other teams evacuated people and equipment, Jo was erasing humanity's digital footprint from galactic civilization. Communication relay network is ready for shutdown, his team leader reported. Trade database connections? Prepared for severing. Navigation beacon network? Standing by for deactivation. Jo looked at the massive wall of displays in front of him. They showed every human connection to galactic computer networks, banking systems, communication grids, navigation databases, scientific research networks, entertainment broadcasts. Humans had built much of the galaxy's digital infrastructure over the past 50 years. Tomorrow, all of it would go silent. Begin protocol silence, Jo said. One by one, human-controlled systems across the galaxy began to shut down, not crashing or breaking, just stopping. It was like turning off lights in a house. The rooms didn't disappear, but they became dark and quiet. The effect would not be noticed immediately. Most beings would assume it was routine maintenance or temporary glitches. It would take days or weeks for the aliens to realize that the silence was permanent. Back on Luna Base, Director Nam received the final reports. Every human settlement outside the solar system was now empty. Every piece of human technology had been neutralized. Every digital connection had been severed. All evacuation transports have reached the rally points, his aide reported. Total personnel accounted for, 12,600,000,000. Any casualties? None, sir. Operation completed with 0 losses. Nam allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Moving the entire human population out of alien space without anyone noticing was perhaps the greatest achievement in human history. It had required the cooperation of every human government, every military force, every civilian organization, and it had worked perfectly. Send the signal to Fleet Command, he said. Phase 2 is authorized. In the outer solar system, Admiral Junho Lee received the message on his flagship. The human fleet had been gathering here for months, ships from every human world forming the largest space force in the galaxy. All ships report ready, Admiral, his operations officer said. Course laid in? Yes, sir. Destination coordinates. Confirmed. Lee looked at the navigation display. Their destination was not marked on any galactic chart. It was a region of space that aliens thought was empty and uninteresting. They were wrong about that, just as they had been wrong about so many things concerning humanity. Signal the fleet, Lee said. Jump in 30 seconds. Across human space, the last evidence of human presence began to disappear. Research stations powered down. Mining operations went quiet. Communication satellites stopped transmitting. Orbital facilities entered standby mode. To any observer, it would look like humanity had simply decided to take a nap. The truth was much more dramatic. As the human fleet jumped toward their secret destination, the last automated message began broadcasting from Earth. It was simple and polite, the kind of message Ambassador Kim might have sent. The United Earth government has completed its consideration of the Galactic Council's proposal. We respectfully decline your offer of guidance. We have decided to pursue our development elsewhere. Thank you for your understanding. By the time any alien received that message, humanity would be gone. Not just from their worlds, but from the galaxy itself. The aliens had demanded that humans accept limits on their growth and expansion. Instead, humans had chosen to expand. Beyond the limits of the aliens' imagination, the galaxy suddenly felt much larger and much emptier than it had before. 3 years had passed since the humans disappeared. Chancellor Vorthak stood in his private office on Centauri Prime Station, looking at reports that made no sense. Trade volume is down 43% across all sectors, his aide reported. 17 major shipping routes have been abandoned completely. Vorthak's tail twitched with irritation. When the humans had vanished, the Galactic Council had expected some minor disruptions. They had not expected the entire galactic economy to start falling apart. What about the backup systems? Vorthak asked. That's the problem, Chancellor. We're discovering that many of our backup systems were actually run by humans. They just didn't tell us. On the water world of Aquatica Prime, Trade Minister Kelvin floated in his command chamber, surrounded by holographic displays showing cargo routes throughout the galaxy. Every display showed the same thing: chaos. Ships were getting lost. Cargo was being delivered to the wrong worlds. Entire trade convoys were disappearing in deep space because the navigation systems that guided them had gone silent. The human navigation network, Kelvin said to his assistant. Can we restore it? We've tried, Minister. The hardware is all there, but we can't make it work. It's like trying to start a fire without knowing what fire is. Kelvin had worked with Trade Minister Kyungmin Ro for 15 years. The human had been polite, efficient, and seemingly unremarkable. Kelvin had assumed that Ro was just a minor administrator who handled paperwork. Now he realized that Ro had been the invisible foundation holding galactic trade together. Human-designed logistics algorithms decided which ships went where. Human-managed supply chains ensured that goods arrived when they were needed. Human-invented financial instruments allowed different species to trade despite having completely different economic systems. Without the humans, it was all collapsing. In the Crystal Hierarchy's territory, military commander Zethros studied tactical reports from the Outer Rim. The news was not good. Piracy incidents are up 600%, his intelligence officer reported. The Void Raiders have taken control of 12 star systems. Where are our patrol fleets? Spread too thin, Commander. We used to coordinate our patrols with human ships. Captain Kang's squadron alone covered 3 entire sectors. Zethros had never liked working with humans. They were too young, too aggressive, too unpredictable, but he had to admit they were effective in combat. Human ships didn't just have better weapons and armor. They had something else. Something that made alien pirates run away rather than fight. Now the pirates were back, and they were bolder than ever. Without human ships backing them up, alien patrol fleets were discovering that they were not as intimidating as they had thought. The Void Raiders sent us a message, the intelligence officer continued. They're demanding tribute from all ships passing through their territory. What was our response? We told them we would never pay tribute to pirates. And they destroyed 3 of our cargo ships yesterday. Zethros' crystalline body flashed with angry colors. The Void Raiders had never dared to attack Crystal Hierarchy ships when the humans were around. Captain Kang had made sure of that. Her squadron had hunted pirates across the galaxy, always arriving exactly when they were needed. How had the humans always known where pirates would strike? Zethros had never thought to ask. On the medical world of Sanctuary, Dr. Nexar worked frantically in his laboratory. The crystalline plague had returned, and it was spreading faster than ever. 3 species were already infected. Without a cure, millions would die. Any progress on the human research data? He asked his assistant. None, doctor. The files are incomplete. It's like they only recorded half of their methods. Dr. Nexar had worked with researcher Jiho Lim for 8 years. The human had been developing a cure for the crystalline plague, and his approach had been unlike anything alien scientists had ever seen. Instead of fighting the plague directly, Lim had been trying to convince it to change itself. Biological persuasion, Lim had called it. Instead of killing the plague, we teach it to be something else. At the time, Dr. Nexar had thought it was a clever but minor technique. Now he realized that Lim's approach was revolutionary. The human hadn't just been treating symptoms. He had been rewriting the fundamental nature of the disease itself. The problem was that no alien scientist could understand how he had done it. The research files contained all the data, all the experiments, all the results. But they were missing something crucial. Some insight that could only exist in a human mind. On the agricultural world of Verdania, farm administrator Quillix watched. His crops die. The soil enhancement techniques that agricultural specialist Yunahan had developed were failing. Have we followed all the procedures exactly? Quillix asked his team. Yes, administrator. Every step, every measurement, every timing, sequence, but the results are wrong. Quillix studied the data. Han's techniques should have worked. They had worked for 10 years. Human-designed soil treatments had turned barren worlds into gardens. But now, trying to use the same methods, alien farmers were producing nothing but dead plants. Perhaps we missed something in the instructions, suggested one of his assistants. We've read the instructions 1,000 times, Quillix replied. Every word, every diagram, every calculation, they're all here. But they weren't all there. Quillix was beginning to understand that Han's real knowledge had never been written down. The techniques that worked required something extra. Some understanding of how living things connected to each other that humans had never bothered to explain, because it seemed obvious to them. To aliens, it was incomprehensible. Chancellor Vorthak called an emergency session of the Galactic Council. Only 9 of the 12 species attended. The crystal hierarchies were too busy fighting pirates. The Bio-Federation was dealing with plague outbreaks. The synthetic collective had gone silent completely. The human disappearance has caused more damage than we anticipated, Vorthak admitted to the assembled representatives. More damage? Counselor Nexaris of the remaining synthetic beings said. His mechanical voice carried unusual emotion. Chancellor, we are facing complete systemic collapse. That seems excessive, Vorthak replied. Does it? Our trade networks are failing. Our security is compromised. Our medical systems cannot handle current disease outbreaks. Our agricultural colonies are producing half their normal food output. At current rates of decline, 3 of our member species will face extinction within a decade. The chamber was very quiet. Vorthak had expected some problems when the humans left. He had not expected this. Surely this is temporary, said the representative from the Aquatic Coalition. The humans will return when they need galactic resources. Will they? Nixaris asked. Our long-range sensors have detected no trace of human activity anywhere in the galaxy. Their ships, their colonies, their communication networks, all gone. Not destroyed. Simply absent. They must have gone somewhere, Vorthak said. Yes. But where? And more importantly, how? Our best analysis of their departure trajectory suggests they left galactic space entirely. That should be impossible with any known technology. The meeting continued for hours, but no one had answers. The aliens had spent 50 years watching human technology, studying human methods, analyzing human capabilities. They thought they understood what humans could and could not do. They had been wrong. As the council session ended, Nixaris spoke privately with Chancellor Vorthak. We need to find them, the synthetic being said. Agreed. How do you suggest we do that? I've been analyzing the quantum signatures from their departure. There are traces of something we've never seen before. Energy patterns that don't match any physics we understand. Meaning? Meaning the humans weren't just more advanced than we thought. They were working with completely different principles. While we were focused on controlling their technology, they were developing something far beyond mere technology. Vorthak's tail twitched nervously. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we never understood what humans were. We thought they were a young species that needed guidance, but what if we were wrong? What if they were something else entirely? That night, alone in his office, Chancellor Vorthak stared out at the stars. For the first time in his long life, he felt fear. Not fear of human weapons or human ships. Fear of human possibilities. Somewhere out there, 12 billion humans were doing something that alien science said was impossible. And the galaxy they had left behind was slowly dying without them. 5 years had passed since the humans vanished. The galaxy was dying slowly, like a machine missing its most important parts. Explorer Captain Woojin Park piloted his ship through the darkest regions of space, following quantum trails that led nowhere. The Galactic Council had sent him to find the humans. So far he had found nothing but empty space and impossible readings. Captain, his science officer said, we're detecting another quantum signature ahead. Same type as before? Yes, sir, but stronger this time. Park had been chasing these signatures for 6 months. They appeared at random points along the galactic rim, like footprints in cosmic dust. Each one pointed in the same direction, away from the galaxy, toward empty space where nothing should exist. Take us closer, Park ordered. As his ship approached, the quantum signature, the readings became more strange. Space itself seemed different here, more flexible somehow. The laws of physics that governed the rest of the galaxy seemed to bend and shift. Captain, this is impossible, his science officer said. According to our instruments, space-time here has been edited. Edited, modified, changed, as if someone rewrote the basic rules of reality in this region. Park stared at the sensor. Readings. He was not a scientist, but he understood what this meant. The humans had not just developed better technology, they had learned to change the fundamental nature of existence itself. Send a message to the Council, he said. We need more ships out here, and we need them now. Meanwhile, on Centauri Prime Station, Ambassador Na-Young Kim appeared on the main communication screen in the Council chamber. She looked exactly as she had 5 years ago. Not older, not tired, not concerned about the galaxy she had left behind. Ambassador Kim, Chancellor Vorthak said, trying to keep the desperation out of his voice. Thank you for responding to our communications. Of course, Chancellor. How can I help you? Vorthak had prepared for this conversation for months. He had offers ready, concessions, promises, everything the humans might want. The Galactic Council would like to extend a formal invitation to humanity to return to galactic civilization, he said. We are prepared to offer full membership status, complete technological exchange, and territorial guarantees for all human worlds. Na-young listened politely. Her image was crystal clear, but the background behind her showed something impossible. Stars that were the wrong color, nebulae that moved in patterns that defied physics, space that looked more like art than reality. "That's very generous, Chancellor," she said, "but we've moved on. We have new projects now." "New projects?" "Yes, we're building galaxies now. It's quite interesting work." The council chamber was silent. Building galaxies, that was beyond impossible. That was beyond the power of gods. "Perhaps we could discuss terms," Vorthak said weakly. "I'm afraid we're not interested in terms, Chancellor. But thank you for thinking of us." The communication ended. Na-young Kim's image disappeared, leaving the council staring at a blank screen. "Building galaxies," whispered Counselor Nexaris. She said they're building galaxies. In deep space, Intelligence Officer Donghyun Song studied the latest reports from long-range scouts. What he read made no sense according to everything aliens knew about space travel. "Sir," his assistant said, "we have confirmation from 3 separate sources. Human settlements have been spotted in the Andromeda Galaxy." "That's impossible. Andromeda is 2.5 million light-years away." "Yes, sir. At maximum quantum drive speed, it would take humans 50,000 years to reach Andromeda. Yet they're there? According to our scouts, yes. Thriving colonies, massive construction projects, entire star systems that have been reorganized." Song looked at the star charts on his desk. The human exodus had happened only 5 years ago. There was no way they could have reached other galaxies in that time. Unless, "Sir, there's more. We've detected human activity in the Magellanic Clouds, the Canis Major Dwarf Galaxy, and 17 other nearby galaxies. All within 5 years? All within 5 years. Song realized he was looking at evidence of something that broke every rule of physics. The humans were not just traveling faster than light. They were traveling faster than possibility itself. On the research world of Academia Prime, xenosociologist Jiwan Li studied every piece of data about human behavior that had been collected over the past 50 years. She was looking for clues, signs that the aliens had missed, evidence of what humans had really been doing while they lived among galactic civilization. "Computer, display human technological development timeline," she said. The holographic display showed a chart of human achievements over 5 decades. To most observers, it looked like normal technological progress. Steady improvements in ships, weapons, computers, and medicine. But Lee saw something else, a pattern hidden beneath the obvious advances. Computer, overlay human cultural exchange, activities. New data appeared on the chart. Human diplomats visiting alien worlds, human scientists attending alien conferences, human artists performing for alien audiences, human traders learning alien business methods. Computer, overlay human, personnel assignments, more data, which humans worked where, which aliens they interacted with, which technologies they were exposed to. The pattern became clear. Humans had not been randomly exploring galactic civilization. They had been systematically studying it. Every human assignment, every cultural exchange, every diplomatic mission had been planned to gather specific information about alien capabilities and limitations. Computer, Project Human knowledge acquisition based on interaction patterns. The results were terrifying. Over 50 years, humans had not just learned about alien technology. They had learned about alien psychology, alien biology, alien social structures, alien philosophical frameworks, alien scientific methodologies. They had studied galactic civilization the way scientists study laboratory specimens. And then they had used that knowledge to transcend everything the aliens thought was possible. Lee sent her report to the council with shaking hands. The humans had never been trying to join galactic civilization. They had been using it as a learning experience. The aliens had been teachers who never realized they were teaching their own replacements. Back on the galactic rim, Captain Park made another discovery. His ship had been following quantum trails for weeks when they found something that should not exist. "Captain," his science officer said, "we're detecting a massive artificial structure ahead. Human. Unknown, sir. But it's bigger than anything we've ever seen. Bigger than a space station, bigger than a planet. Sir, this thing is the size of a solar system. Park ordered his ship forward. What they found defied description. A construction project that spanned billions of kilometers, rings of unknown material surrounding artificial stars, planets that had been built rather than formed, space itself that had been shaped like clay. Are there any life signs? Park asked. Yes, sir. Billions of them. All human. As Park's ship approached the massive structure, a small human vessel came out to meet them. It moved without any visible propulsion, sliding through space as if distance was just a suggestion. The human ship docked with Park's vessel. A single human came aboard. He was young, wearing simple clothes, and he smiled like someone greeting old friends. Welcome, the human said. I'm engineer Tae-hyun Jo. I built most of this system. Would you like a tour? Park stared at the human. Jo looked completely normal. He could have been any young human from any human world, except that he claimed to have built a solar system. How? Park asked. It's not that complicated once you understand the principles, Jo said. Space-time is more flexible than most species. Realize, you just need to know which parts to push and which parts to pull. This is impossible. Only if you think in terms of old physics. We've moved beyond that. Jo led Park through the human structure. They saw cities that floated in empty space without any support, gardens that grew in zero gravity using sunlight that humans had created themselves, factories that produced materials that should not exist, and everywhere humans lived and worked and built things that made alien science weep. Where did you go? Park asked. When you left our galaxy? We didn't go anywhere, Jo said. We went elsewhere, outside normal space-time. We set up our own dimensions and started building there. Your own dimensions? Reality is bigger than most species think, much bigger. While you were all fighting over one galaxy, we learned to make our own. When Park returned to his ship, he carried a message from the humans. It was simple and polite, the kind of message Ambassador Kim might have sent. Thank you for visiting. We remember our time in your galaxy fondly. We hope you find your own path to growth and change. Park sent the message to the Galactic Council. Then he sat in his captain's chair and stared out at the human construction project. A solar system built by hand. Physics rewritten like poetry. Reality itself shaped according to human will. He finally understood what the Council was dealing with. The humans had not just left galactic civilization, they had graduated from it. They had become something that the aliens could not even imagine, let alone control. The search was over. The humans had been found, but finding them had only made the problem worse. Because now the aliens knew exactly how far beyond them humanity had evolved. 10 years had passed since the humans disappeared. The Galactic Council chamber was half empty now. 3 species had collapsed completely. 2 more had withdrawn from galactic civilization to focus on survival. The remaining 7 species gathered for what everyone knew would be the final emergency session. Chancellor Vorthak looked older than his 800 years. His once proud scales had lost their shine. His movements were slow and careful. The weight of watching his civilization crumble had taken its toll. We have lost contact with the Bio-Federation, he announced to the sparse assembly. Their worlds have gone silent. Plague? Asked Counselor Nexaris. The synthetic being's voice carried a mechanical sadness. Unknown. Our scouts report that their planets appear normal from orbit, but no one responds to communication. The Aquatic Coalition representative floated in his water-filled tube, but even the water looked murky now. The Void Raiders have claimed another 12 systems. Our patrol fleets cannot contain them. Food production on Verdania has dropped below sustainable levels, added the Agricultural Union delegate. Without human soil enhancement techniques, we cannot feed our population. Vorthak listened to the reports with growing despair. Every month brought new disasters. Every year saw their civilization slide further toward collapse. The galaxy that had once been home to trillions of beings was becoming a graveyard. Perhaps, Vorthak said quietly, it is time to admit that we made a mistake. The chamber fell silent. For 10 years, the Council had refused to acknowledge what everyone secretly knew. They had destroyed their own civilization by driving away the one species that had been holding it together. Suddenly, the chamber's main display activated. A ship had appeared in the station's docking bay. Not landed or docked normally. It had simply materialized there as if space had opened up to let it through. "Unknown vessel in Bay 7, came the security alert. "No approach vector detected. Ship appears to have arrived instantaneously." Through the chamber's viewing ports, they could see the ship. It was clearly human in design, but unlike any human vessel they remembered. It seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Its surface reflected not the station's lights, but the stars themselves, as if the ship existed in several dimensions at once. "Incoming communication," the station's AI announced. "Put it through," Vorthak said. The main screen activated, showing a human face that was both familiar and impossible. Admiral Sun Ho Yu had been 40 years old when the humans left. Now he looked exactly the same. Not older, not younger, but somehow more present than before. "Chancellor Vorthak," Admiral Yu said with a polite nod. "Thank you for receiving me." "Admiral Yu," Vorthak replied, struggling to keep his voice steady. "You look well. Time moves differently where we live now. May I come aboard? There are things we should discuss." An hour later, Admiral Yu walked into the council chamber as if he had never left. He wore a simple human uniform, but it seemed to be made of light rather than fabric. Behind him walked Dr. Yunjin Bei, carrying the title of Reality Architect on her name tag. The aliens stared at them with mixture of hope and fear. Hope that the humans had returned to save galactic civilization. Fear of what the humans had become. "Before we begin," Admiral Yu said, "I want you to understand something important. We did not come here to gloat or to punish. We came to explain." He looked around the chamber, meeting each alien's gaze with calm compassion. "You never understood what humans were," he continued. "You saw us as a young species that needed to be controlled. But we were never young in the way you think of youth. We were something else entirely." Dr. Bei stepped forward. Her presence seemed to make the air itself shimmer with possibility. "We were metamorphic," she said. "Like caterpillars that build cocoons, we used your galaxy as our nursery. Every challenge you presented, every limitation you imposed, every crisis you created, these were the pressures we needed to trigger our transformation." Counselor Nexaris processed this information with mechanical precision. "You're saying you knew this would happen?" "We knew that something like this would happen," Admiral Yu confirmed. "We didn't know the exact details, but we understood the general pattern. Growth requires pressure. Evolution requires challenge. Transcendence requires opposition." "Then why didn't you tell us?" Vorthak asked. "Would you have believed us? Would you have willingly played the role of our evolutionary catalyst?" The chamber was quiet. Everyone knew the answer. Dr. Bei continued the explanation. "While you were watching our ships and weapons, we were developing something far more fundamental. We learned to perceive the quantum foundations of reality. We discovered that space and time are just suggestions, not laws. We found out that matter and energy are toys, not constraints. We didn't develop faster than light travel," Admiral Yu added. "We learned to step outside space-time entirely. We didn't build better weapons. We learned to edit the fundamental constants that make weapons necessary. We didn't create stronger alliances. We learned to perceive dimensions of existence where the concept of alliance becomes meaningless." Vorthak felt his world crumbling. Not just the political world of the council, but his entire understanding of what was possible. "Every human who lived among you was studying," Dr. Bei explained. "Not just your technology, but your limitations. Your assumptions about what could and could not be done. Your beliefs about the nature of reality itself. We needed to understand the boundaries of conventional thinking so we could learn to think beyond them. You used us," the Aquatic Coalition representative said, his voice bitter. "We learned from you," Admiral Yu corrected gently. "There's a difference. We never took anything from you that you weren't willing to give. We never forced you to share your knowledge. We simply observed and understood." "And now?" Vorthak asked. What happens to us now? Dr. Bay smiled, and for a moment the chamber filled with warmth that had nothing to do with temperature. Now you have a choice, she said. You can continue trying to hold together a system that was always dependent on others, or you can begin your own metamorphosis. We don't know how, Nexaris said. You know more than you think, Admiral Yu replied. You've been watching humans for 50 years. You've seen what growth looks like. You've experienced what happens when you resist change. Now you get to decide what comes next. Dr. Bay touched a device on her wrist. The chamber's main display activated, showing star charts of impossible beauty. Galaxies that had been built rather than born. Solar systems that followed the rules of art rather than physics. Worlds where life itself had become a form of conscious creativity. This is what we've built in 10 years, she said. 17 new galaxies, each one designed according to different principles of existence. We've created spaces where different types of consciousness can evolve. Reality has become our canvas. But this is your galaxy, Admiral Yu said. Your chance to grow. Your opportunity to discover what you're really capable of. He stood up, preparing to leave. We're not coming back. We've moved beyond the need for galactic civilization. But we haven't forgotten you. In memory of our time here, we're leaving you something. Dr. Bay placed a small device on the council table. It looked like a crystal, but it pulsed with inner light that seemed alive. Instructions, she said. Not for technology, but for perspective. Ways of thinking that might help you see past your current limitations. Consider it a graduation gift. Admiral Yu paused at the chamber door. One last thing. The problems you're facing, the plague, the pirates, the economic collapse, they're not really about missing human technology. They're about missing human perspective. You became dependent on our way of solving problems instead of learning to solve problems yourselves. The crystal contains principles, not solutions. Methods of thinking, not specific answers. Whether you use them or not is up to you. As the humans walked toward their ship, Ambassador Daeho Kim appeared one final time on the chamber's communication screen. He looked exactly as he had 10 years ago, but his eyes held depths that seemed to contain entire universes. Thank you, he said simply, for the learning experience. You taught us what we needed to know about limitation so we could learn to transcend it. We will remember you fondly as we continue to grow. The communication ended. Through the viewing ports, the aliens watched the human ship fade away, not flying or jumping or disappearing, but simply becoming less real until it was gone entirely. In the silence that followed, Counselor Nexaris spoke first. They were never trying to join us, he said. They were trying to become something we couldn't imagine, and they succeeded. Chancellor Vorthak picked up the crystal device. It felt warm in his hands, and he could sense vast knowledge waiting inside it. Knowledge that might save galactic civilization, or transform it into something entirely new. The question is, he said to the remaining council members, are we brave enough to use it? Outside the station, space itself seemed different, more open somehow, more full of possibilities. The humans had left their galaxy behind, but they had also left something else. Proof that growth was possible, that evolution could continue, that the universe was far stranger and more wonderful than anyone had dared to imagine. The age of human dependence was over. The age of alien transformation was about to begin.